Haven't been on the TikTok for a while, but here's what I know. You gotta take care of yourself, sis. Um, Even with burnout and exhaustion, my dad always says baby steps are still steps forward. And so I am Queen, a clinical somatic sexologist and erotic intelligence coach. And I actually wrote a book about that. But what I'm going to give you is like what you can do right now, and you're going to jot it down. So that way, this is something that you can actually practice. And honestly, on my website, there is a free guide that you can get. So that way, if you wanted a quick guide and go into deeper before even getting the book, you can do that. But we need to take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, the exhaustion and the burnout is going to continue to waste away at us. Like, we know it in the research that there is a relationship between our emotions and how our body reacts to those emotions, right? And psychosomatic mind thoughts impact the way our body responds. And so the practice I want you to try is an integrative practice I call SHIFT. It's not an acronym, although it could be, but it's an embodiment practice. And it's embodiment practice made of mindfulness practice, somatic practice, a self-compassion practice, right? And the neuroplasticity of affirmation work. And so it's ground, center, nurture, affirm. First, you ground. How do you do that? First, by taking 3 full belly breaths. One thing I did when creating this was like making sure that people didn't need electronics in order to do this work. Simply ground yourself with 3 belly breaths. That's it. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. We understand there's a relationship between our jaw. You can do this too. Just relax yourself. Take a breath. That's 1. Take another breath. That's 2. And take 1 more. Breathe in your nose, out your mouth. That's 3. As soon as you recognize you feel distress is when you can activate your presence practice. 3 breaths. Take a sacred pause. Just take a moment. Notice the only decision making is that, right? Because without breath, there is no life. And so you need to take quality breath, not from your chest, because that's where the anxiety lives, but from your belly, where you can activate some relaxation, some calming. I won't say relaxation, some calming. The next step is center. Because we have been socialized, I'm also queer and I'm agender. And so because we've also been socialized, whether it's women or queer folk, that our labor is supposed to be self-sacrificial, we're always censoring other people and never censoring ourselves. And I don't mean self-sacrifice or selfishness. I mean self-preservation, right? How do you center yourself so that way it is self-preservation? And so as a somatic practitioner, I know that there's a centering as a somatic practice, but what I want you to start with first is centering as a thought practice. This thought practice is going to help you activate self-compassion, so that way when you feel the tug of war, when you feel the shame, when you feel the guilt, when you feel the overgiving getting ready to happen, you're going to ask yourself 3 questions. What's the purpose of this moment? That helps you stop going back and forth with people who don't want to understand you. What is in my best interest? Because sometimes being quiet and walking away is not, but no decision making, but you need to get clear. And then, what can I do to take care of myself? Because you need to start considering yourself. Once you do that centering practice, that care, what do I need to do to take care of myself? Then you're going to move into nurturing practice. I've been doing shift for my own personal healing because I could not hear my abuser's voice anymore. It's 2003. I had to be able to hear my voice. And so I had to first learn how to ground the anxiety, the panic, the PTSD symptoms that was in me. And so I had to, and I was already learning yoga and comedic yoga and meditation. And so I was like, what do I want to do? And I wasn't even going yoga meditation. Girl, I did it with food. I'm not saying overeat or impulsively eat, because no, that's not what I'm saying too. I'm talking about activating discernment, activating intention, because you're in your presence practice. And so part of your practice is awareness, intention, and effort. And so now you're moving into your presence practice with, all right, how do I take care of myself and what nurtures you? Now, the reason why I always use nurture and not self-care is because capitalism has commodified self-care. But when you hear nurture, now you're inviting spirit into the place, right? How are you taking care of your spirit? And for me, it was my grandmama's pineapples. I wasn't so much big on the ham, but the pineapples from the ham, I loved. And it was a soothing place for me. And so one of the things I would do is either drink some pineapple juice or I would get some pineapples, right? And I usually, after I had like a couple of pineapples or maybe I have a cup of pineapple juice, I felt better. I knew that wasn't going to keep me there. But again, I'm just trying to be okay I'm trying to take care of myself because I'm not okay in the moment. The next thing I'm going to do, and with nurture, what I want you to do is come up with 2 care practices that you can do for yourself and use each sense, right, as a way of identifying those practices, right? Touch, taste, feel, hear, vision. And then intuitively, you're going to use the practice that is energetically being called for. I get into more of that later, but right now it is, what do you need to do to take care of your moment? And neuroscience says you need to do 1 care practice for 15 minutes a day. So me and my pineapples and some deep breathing for 15 minutes, I went from feeling anxious at an 8 to maybe feeling anxious at a 6. It is not about getting rid of the discomfort. Healing is about the relationship to discomfort. And then once you do that practice for 15 minutes, you're going to check in and rate yourself again, the intensity of the discomfort that you're feeling, 0 to 10, right? And if you are still feeling uncomfortable, go back and do another practice. Now, if you feel like you're in crisis, now you need to call 211 or 911 or contact your local hospital or your therapist. Find your safety team, safety plan. I'm a crisis therapist. We'll talk about that later. Next thing is affirm yourself, because we have also, because of PTSD and the things that we've gone through, have developed a self-critical voice. We don't think that we're worthy of the things, the kindness, the self-compassion that we just activated. And the one thing I understand about neuroscience is that affirmation work is literally the rewiring of the brain to create new neurons, to create new thought processes, to disrupt the criticalness, the critical thinking, the self-limiting beliefs. Affirmation work works because literally you are speaking life into yourself and it's literally rewiring your nervous system. Yes, there's more science in that, but for the purpose of this moment, ground, center, nurture, affirm, shift is an embodiment practice that's going to help you move through the discomfort, because believe it or not, for those of you who are interested in quantum physics, the magic, the alchemy happens in the discomfort. It happens in the ebbs so you can get to the flow. And so all I want you to practice is ground, center, nurture, affirm. Come back to this video. Let me know how you do. You can go to shifthealing.co. I believe that is the link for the book. You can go to my website, Sista, with an A, SISTA, sexologist, no gap, SEXOLOGIST.com. And that's where you can get the Shift Somatic Healing Quick Guide. And so we're going to start with being able to create embodied safety and self-trust. Y'all want to get to the good, but y'all can't deal with the bad. And I need y'all to bring it back. We need to go back to some basics. All right? Stick around for some more. And again, I'm Queen. Talk to you later. Take good care of yourself.